In today's globalized world, people, economies, and financial systems are connected like never before. This connectivity is essential to address today's urgent global challenges. The EU supports connectivity both among ASEAN member states and between the EU and ASEAN regions. Connectivity that is sustainable, comprehensive, and rules-based. The EU strengthens connectivity through the networks, dialogues, and exchanges that link the EU and ASEAN. The EU supports economic connectivity that facilitates trade and supports global trading standards. That builds bilateral free trade agreements with ASEAN member states as stages towards a region-to-region agreement. The EU-ASEAN Comprehensive Air Transport Agreement will be the first region-to-region agreement covering safety, security, and air traffic management. In line with the European Green Deal, the EU also supports green infrastructure investment in ASEAN. The EU puts people first, building connectivity to enhance education, research, and innovation, as well as culture and tourism. Connectivity is at the heart of everything that EU does. We aim to build a stronger EU, a stronger ASEAN, and a stronger partnership, so everyone benefits.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to the 5th EU-ASEAN Regional Youth Talk Show. My name is Liguina Hananto, and as always, I'm both thrilled and honored to be here. For those of you who've seen me before, hello, welcome back. And those of you who are new here, well, welcome to the show. Today, after 2 years of basically not traveling due to the COVID-19 pandemic, things are starting to get better, and we are now starting to travel again. I'm based in Jakarta, but right now I'm in Bali. So as we start traveling domestically or within the region and then the world, aren't you excited about meeting your friends again, connecting with your colleagues again in person? I would like to reconnect with one of my very dear friends, Dian Saputra. She's the team leader for the EU Communication and Visibility Project for ASEAN. Here's my co-host, Dian. How are you?
Hello, Wayne. Nice to see you. Nice to have you here again.
Good to see you. Good to see you. I'm very excited to be here with you. This is a new platform, so
yes.
How do you do?
Yeah, so today's talk show is held on this new platform. It's this ASEAN EU Expo platform. And then within this virtual Expo platform, you can find all EU-funded projects in the region. And so after this talk show, I would like to encourage everyone to browse through the Expo by clicking on the Expo button on the left-hand side of your screen. And you can visit our project's booth. You can read about them, you'll watch their videos, and you can even drop them questions, and I'm sure they will get back to you. But before we start our discussion today, Win, I would like to invite the Ambassador of the European Union to ASEAN, His Excellency Igor Drismans, to share a few words. Hello, Pa Igor.
Hi, Pa Igor. Good to see you again.
Hi, both. How are you?
Good.
You're in Bali, Liguino.
I know. I'm such a show-off.
You're working, right? You're working.
I'm working, sir. Right. Yes.
Anyway, good to see both of you, and let me welcome everybody who's here today. All very excited for a new EU-ASEAN Youth Talk Show. As you said, and as we saw in the beautiful little video, today's topic is connecting Europe and ASEAN post-COVID-19. And personally, I'm very glad that we also established this little tradition of a youth talk show, already the 5th edition. Now, we as EU have always believed in young people as change makers, as engines for building vibrant, peaceful, and democratic societies. And it's for this reason that the EU has dedicated this year, 2022, as the European Year of Youth. Now, what does this mean? This means that the EU would like to see more youth engagement in all aspects of decision making and wants to hear your voice. As I said, the topic of today's talk show is connectivity, a very important pillar of EU-ASEAN relations. Connectivity can mean many things. It can mean connecting people, for example, through exchanges between students and education institutions. And let me just say that from 2014 to before the pandemic in 2019, over 32,000 students and academic staff traveled between our two regions. Today, you will hear the experience of two Erasmus Mundus awardees from the Philippines and Myanmar. You will also meet one of the EU-ASEAN young leaders from Germany. But beyond these two great programs, the EU also has other projects to support youth in ASEAN, such as the EU Share with its intra-ASEAN scholarship programs and the Euraxis program that links researchers in ASEAN with Europe. But connectivity can also mean facilitating travel. And we're very happy that the EU and ASEAN have concluded the EU-ASEAN Comprehensive Air Transport Agreement, which is the world's first block-to-block aviation agreement which will boost the existing and future air transport networks, procedures, and regulations to further enhance the connectivity of our two regions. Finally, let me just use this opportunity to tell you about our comic strip competition, which we're organizing at the occasion of the 45th anniversary of EU-ASEAN Dialogue Partnership. So do take part in that comic strip competition. There'll be much more celebrations for the 45th anniversary, including a bike ride in August and much more. But let me also echo what Diane had said and encourage you to visit all of our booths at the ASEAN EU Expo. So enough said, have fun with today's talk show, and remember, this talk show is designed for you. So use this platform to hear from each other, make your voice heard, and be inspired. Thank you.
This month's connectivity is one of the key pillars of the EU and ASEAN relations, and which is, by the way, this year is entering 45th year. That's a very long time, and of course, many, many more years to come. What Pak Igor mentioned earlier about connectivity is more than just traveling as a tourist, although right now I'm really literally a tourist, although that counts too. When we talk about connectivity, we talk about connecting cultures, connecting thoughts, exchanging ideas, working together, getting to know each other. That's right, Diane. What do you think about that?
That's very true. And I think Pak Igor has summarized it very clearly earlier as well. And, you know, as Pak Igor said, connectivity has always been an important pillar for EU and ASEAN. And we also have a lot of EU-ASEAN cooperation programs focusing on building and strengthening connectivity between the two regions. And I think, like, you know, our guests today represent two of our many programs. Would you like to introduce them to us, Lina?
Yes. Let's talk more about our guests today. So this is not about me and Diane just talking here. We'll start with the first one.
Wait. Sorry. Wait. We need to get everyone to take a picture.
Okay.
We're not being good hosts if we haven't taken a picture yet.
With Pak Igor, the three of us, or
Pak
do
Igor, of
everybody? Oh yeah, of course. Pak, don't go yet. We're gonna introduce all of them. But before we start, let's take pictures. Being in the region ASEAN, pictures are more important than introduction. Let's go. I will need help from the team at the back to take pictures. Your screenshot is highly appreciated. Let's close. I'm going to count 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Shall we continue?
Yes. Sorry about that.
Only in ASEAN, we take pictures before we introduce everybody. You gonna be staying with us, Paigor? Do you have to be somewhere else? You're gonna be staying with us.
I'll be staying with you guys. So just
Okay.
continue. I'll be sitting back and relaxing, enjoying the show.
All right. Let's invite them one by one. The first one is Jezire Gahelomo. I learned how to pronounce her name. Jezire is a Filipina. She is currently living in warm and sunny Portugal. So hello, Jezire. Good to see you. Welcome to today's talk show. Can you tell us a little bit, what are you doing in Portugal? I'm like so jealous. Portugal, I hear, is a lot of fun.
Hello.
Hi. Go ahead.
Hi,
We
Lee.
can hear you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm very excited. So, I am currently pursuing my Erasmus Mundus joint master's degree here in Portugal. I'm currently on my mobility period now, and like tomorrow will be the end of my first academic year for this master. So, time flies indeed so fast.
So you're an Erasmus Mundus awardee, and you're also a YouTuber. I love watching your videos, especially I haven't been traveling for a while, so it's great to see your take on different countries in Europe. And we'll talk more about Erasmus Mundus program and your experience in a little bit. But let us now welcome another Erasmus Mundus alumni, and this time she's from Myanmar. It's May Nyat Nu. No, I think May Nyat No. Hi, May. There you are. Did I pronounce your name correctly? I always struggle, but somehow I manage.
Yeah, you're correct.
I'm good. I'm good there. Welcome to EU-ASEAN Youth Talk Show. So tell us more. You were also an Erasmus Mundus awardee, and you just graduated last year. Is that right, May?
Yeah, but I got the Erasmus HA program, HA program in 2019.
Okay.
And I'm really excited to be part of life now.
Real life starts after you graduate. I know how it feels. so far we have two young people from ASEAN. Both are awardees, May and Jezire, from the Erasmus Mundus program. Let's give them thumbs up. But we are excited to hear more about it later. So Erasmus Mundus is a scholarship program, right, Dian?
Yes, it is. The full name of it is Erasmus Mundus Joint Master's Scholarship. So it's fully funded by the EU. And the program itself, it's like, obviously in one side, it's a scholarship program. But on the other side, the program also aims to foster excellence and help the participating institutions to be internationalized. And so applicants can come from all over the world. So not just ASEAN, not just any particular countries, but from all over the world. And you can get a joint degree or multiple degrees. So a joint degree is a single degree certificate issued on behalf of at least 2 higher education institutions, or multiple degrees, whereas there's 2 degree certificates issued by 2 higher education institutions. So it's a pretty good, wholesome scholarship. I think, for our audience here today, like if you have any plans on taking a master's degree, use this opportunity to ask our 2 alumni to, ask them all the questions about the program and about their experience.
Fabulous. I'm sure a lot of young audience who are with us today, a lot of them are university students from around the region. So let's make use of this. I'm sure everybody is interested to pursue higher education in the EU. Can I apply?
I don't know about the age limit.
Oh, there's an age limit? I can still call for that. Okay, let's invite back May and Jezire. Which one did May do and which one did Jezire take? Let's find out. May, which one did you take? There's a single degree and then there's a multiple degree. Which one did you do, May?
I did the single degree, not
Single
from
degree.
Degree. Yeah.
What was your master called?
A master is Master of Business Administration. It's like business, but I joined the Erasmus program as a part of the semester exchange. Like only for
I
this,
see.
I chose the spring semester. That is just part of one of the semester, not like the multiple degree like others. For some other people choose the multiple degree. Yeah, I'm not from multiple degree holder.
Thank you, May. How about you, Jezreel?
As for my case, I am currently pursuing the Joint Master's degree, a program called WOP. It's Work, Organizational, and Personal Psychology. So, in a nutshell, we basically study and research on how people behave at work, the consequences of their behaviors, and things like that.
That's very interesting,
Very
especially with
interesting.
the pandemic happening. The way people work has changed dramatically in the last 2 years. Okay, Dion, go ahead.
Yeah, and like I was just gonna add a little bit, like this scholarships program, like there's but Igor had mentioned it as well earlier. So we also have like a program that works on like intra-ASEAN. It's called EU Share. I don't know like if you've heard of it before, but it's one of the EU's flagship program here in ASEAN. So it's supporting student mobility within ASEAN. So there's intra-ASEAN scholarship, exchange programs. Again, like this is for undergraduate students are also can also apply for the EU Share program. So both Erasmus and Share also have their booths in this virtual expo. So after the show, you can immediately go visit their booths to find more information about the two scholarships.
Ah, great. So
Yeah.
this new platform allows us not just to have a talk show, but there's an expo on the site. You can go through it and find out more about the information that we just given you. Thank you, Dian. We also have one more speaker from the EU side. We have Jonas Niska. He graduated from University of Vienna and also from Climate Pact Ambassador of the European Commission, a member of the Youth Task Force of the European Climate Pact, and is recently participating in the EU-ASEAN Young Leaders Program. You are a handful, Jonas. Welcome.
Hi, nice to be here. Yeah, actually,
Nice
that's
to
also
see
what my
you.
mom tells me all the time, that he doesn't know what I'm gonna do, or like that I'm having too many projects on my
You
plate.
have your mom as the host right now. Can you tell us more about the EU-ASEAN Young Leaders Program? I'm very interested to know more about this one.
Yeah, actually, so I think it's the second version this year. And what the EU is trying to do is connecting young leaders from the EU and ASEAN. So they have around 90 leaders per program. So 45 from the ASEAN region and 45 from Europe. And what they basically try to do is give them the opportunity to network, to find kind of like common purposes, and to actually like generate ideas to tackle the climate challenge, tackle the connectivity issue, and bring us together on platforms like, obviously over the last 2 years it was mostly Zoom, but obviously also in the future to give us the opportunity to connect and build up platforms where we could meet and where we could actually work on policy proposals, how we want to see the future. And I think that's a really important challenge that we're going to have as a young generation, and where we need everybody in the boat, to say it like that.
Fabulous. That sounds really interesting. How many people did you say again was in your batch in the EU-ASEAN Young Leaders Program?
It's 90 people, so they have
90.
45 per region. And basically what they trying to do is, I think, also to like have people representing from different topical areas. So people who work on the climate issue, such as me and others from the ASEAN regions who are targeted by the climate crisis primarily. But then they also have, for example, people in the digital area, digital connectivity, and like kind of like in these fields that are targeting us together. So basically what we're trying to do is like to go the full broad field and basically have discussions with policy leaders from Europe and the ASEAN. And they also give us every week when we're meeting, or every webinar when we're meeting, they're giving us little sustainable lifestyle challenges that we have to document. So although it's online, it's like still like a pretty good chance to like interact with each other and see how they can pursue the future, let's say it like that.
Isn't it fantastic how we have to adapt and adjust with the pandemic? And it doesn't stop us from connecting to people across the globe. I love that idea. What is your key takeaways from your participation in the program, especially because you're involved a lot with the climate change initiatives while you're living far, far away from ASEAN, you're in EU, and still working together with your counterparts in ASEAN?
Well, I think if we look at specifically the climate issue, we see that it's a challenge for us globally. So, I mean, we as young citizens, we are the generation who, in the end, have to find the solutions and to have to also basically develop a sustainable lifestyle to basically adapt to that. And I think as the issue of climate change also knows no borders, I think we as young people initially need to use these platforms to actually exchange ideas and solutions, because obviously people in the ASEAN have a different perspective on the topic of climate change than people in Europe. And I think if, for example, the climate change issue is targeting people in the ASEAN on a different level and they find solutions for it, why should we not share it with people that might face these same challenges in the future? And so I think all these climate initiatives, we need to act as global citizens in these issues. It's not going to work if one country does this and one country does that, but we all need to pull on the same string. And I think if young people who lived in the region or who have already contacts to the region connect with their counterparts online and find solutions, I think we're on a good path to actually find a sustainable way to develop our future together and to actually also learn from each other. And I think that's the key important part of these forums, to bring young people together, to brainstorm ideas, and then to present them to the leaders in different forums. As we see now, the G7 is coming up. You're going to have the G20 in Indonesia later this year. So I think young people need to be included, involved, but also when they're going to need to deliver. And I think these forums are the right preparation formats for that, to actually be included.
Right. Actual discussions are happening between the two regions. I find that very fascinating. It's not my first time hosting the Youth Talk Show for EU-ASEAN, but every time in different topics, I'm always fascinated at how active young people are to find common solutions as global citizen. And I love those words, global citizen. It's heartwarming for me. There's so much more similarity between us than differences. Oh, and by the way, for those of you who are in the audience and you want to ask questions, please feel free to drop off your questions and comments in the chat room and the Q&A box for any of our speakers today at any time. So you don't have to wait. There's no need to raise hand here. Just go ahead, drop it off in the comment sections or in the Q&A box. I'm always interested to hear behind scenes stories. So let's move along. Behind the scenes stories. Let's find out more from Jezre. Jezre, let's start with you. What motivated you to apply for the Erasmus Mundus program, and where did you first hear about the program?
I first knew about this program through my mentor and a good friend, Dr. Jenny Lind Elmaco, and I believe she's here with us today as well. So hello, Ati Jenny. What really motivated me to apply was my love for traveling and my love for research, specifically in the field of psychology. And what better way to merge both of these was through Erasmus, and I'm glad that I was able to find this opportunity. So you don't only get to travel, you also get to earn a joint master's degree in the end.
While you're young, go travel. Am I teaching people to just leave? Encouraging people to see the world. Okay, we've been at home too much. I also want to travel. May, how about you, May? You had your degrees from Germany. You were mentioning about exchange program. Why Germany, and what? How did you finish your degree?
Yeah, why Germany? That's that. The first question, why Germany, is two of my aunts study in Germany. Maybe 20 years ago, they got scholarship, DAD. One got
okay.
another one got KAD.
So it's a family trait.
Yeah. That's why, even though I have never been to Germany at the time, I know that Germany because the infrastructure compared to our developing country. That's why I tried that program because of that, because it is in heritage culture in my family.
True. But there's a family trait there, so you know about Germany early
Yes.
on because of your family who've lived there before and studied there before. Okay, here's a question. We live in the region ASEAN, and then you two move to study in European Union. What is it like to be moving to Europe, and what do you find challenging? Also, what's your memory? I'm asking too many questions in one sentence here. One by one. What is it like to be moving to Europe? Let's start with Desiree.
Well, it was kind of a big adjustment for me, especially like leaving my family behind and my life
Are you
behind
from
in the
Manila, Desiree?
No, I'm from Dumaguete City in
I
Negros
see.
Oriental. Hmm.
So moving to Europe, what is it like?
It was quite of an adjustment, really. However, like as I got like throughout the months and get to know the culture, different cultures and different people, it really expanded my knowledge and like the opportunities. So I'm glad that I was able to find this one.
What was the most challenging experience you've had? Was
Hmm.
language an issue when you moved to Portugal?
Yes, it's like at first it is, but like I first moved to Spain and then here in Portugal, so I'm kind of like learning how to speak Spanish and Portuguese on the side.
Oh, two different countries altogether with different language altogether. That must be very interesting.
And there's a
Yes,
question for you, Desiree, from the audience regarding that. There's a question from Yendi who asks, like, how do you deal with the mobility, such as the language barrier, culture shock, and finding accommodation? So the question goes from very practical to very, very practical questions as well from Yendi. So perhaps you can share your experience.
I think firstly you have to brace yourself because it will be a drastic change. Like with one application, it can change the entire course of your like career or your academic trajectory. And I think that's like instead of seeing this as a challenge, I see this as an opportunity to grow as a person and also to really expand your horizon and just embrace every possibility that this world has to offer. And Erasmus Mundus really like have this opportunity. So I hope that for those of you listening to grab this opportunity, application starts like sometime in September or October. So better watch out for it.
There you
So
go.
let's ask May. Let's ask May. Let's not move to the next question yet, but May needs to answer the same question. What is it like moving to Europe, and what do you find challenging, May?
The challenging is for the ASEAN and Asian people, the food and the culture. It's really different. Even though we think it's easy, but it's not easy to stay this
No.
to stay over 1 week, 1 or 2 weeks, because the culture is we don't have hack culture in Asian. In the Europe we have hack. Hack in the Asian, if you have some different sex person, it is not good in my country. People might think what happening to you or something like that. In Europe it's okay. And then another one is the food. I cannot eat dairy food, and then that's my problem. Dairy foods. And you can find more you can find easily with cheap price in Asian food in Europe.
Okay, yeah, as long as we have rice, everybody's alive. Very ASEAN there. Thanks, May. Okay, beyond education program, you both are learning about EU cultures. Was there any perception you had before you went to Europe that has changed since you've been there? Because our topic is connecting, right? Connectivity. sometimes you have assumptions on other people just because we're different. Did you have a perception that changed after you moved? May, you want to answer that first?
I think for the perception, I think we don't need to change, but we have to learn, because for me it is like another world. Europe is another world when I arrived first time in my life, because it is really difficult, totally different. Infrastructure also difficult, not only culture and food, infrastructure and also the equal environmental safety system, all are totally different, especially in Germany. It's strict. Yeah,
Jonas
all
is laughing there.
He's laughing. Yeah. For example, the water bottle you cannot throw as you like, and also you have to know that knowledge before you come, and you have to see the outside environment, what the signature are doing. In every corner of the street, there is a pillar and there is a bottle. There is a bottom. Uh, for me, in my country at the time, there is no bottom like that. I don't know what is the bottom. And after 2 days later, I noticed that is for disabled people to cross the road, like that. In my country at the time, I have never seen that kind of bottom in every road.
Interesting. How about you, Desiree? Is there any perception that you had about people living in Europe that changed or improved after you finally moved there?
As for me, I can only speak like in the countries of Portugal and Spain. When moving to Spain, I really like the culture there, simply because they take siesta seriously, and that's something that I really like. And here in Europe, people really take their time like slowly, compared to the Philippines. That my life there was quite fast paced in the Philippines, but here in Europe, I get to take time, enjoy, go to like different parks, and just like take in the moment.
Oh, I love that take. About life. How about you, Jonas? What did you experience working alongside with ASEAN youth change the way, in any way?
Well, yeah, I think obviously the forum this time gives you the more opportunities to actually also like learn about it. But I mean, we've been online for almost 2 years, so I can definitely sign off what Desiree was saying.
Jonas.
Yeah, I mean, learning online from people is definitely different, of course, because you do not have the cultural experience. When you have a Zoom meeting or an event, you drop out after the webinar because you have other things to do.
You can't hang out.
Yeah, exactly. Like the social aspect really gets like lagged behind. And from my experience, when I was like an intern in Vietnam, I had like kind of like the opposite experience what May and Desiree were just describing. So for me, it was a welcome chaos, because I kind of like wanted to like leave the rules that you know from Germany or from other European countries behind. And for me, it was kind of like nice to have like complete chaos when I came into Hanoi, and I was like, oh, this is nice. Like there are no rules on the street. That's great.
I love Hanoi. Yes, it's organized chaos. I love it. You walk everywhere. You cross the street no matter what happens.
Exactly. And I mean, the same with the food aspect. I completely loved it. And I think also it changes you when you come back, because you go there with a certain perception, you have your experience, but when you come back, you also see your own country or your own vision in a total like different aspect. And I think that's like an important aspect of these exchanges or these exchange platforms, that you learning also a lot about yourself, and maybe something where you'd be like, this is complete normal to me, and then afterwards you're coming back and you'd be like, oh, this is like actually weird. We should change that, you know.
Offline connectivity helps you look into your own culture differently, and that's what fabulous about it. One more question for Jonas. What is your most memorable experience during the program? I know it's online. I had a colleague who I've met for 2 years only online, and finally I get to meet him He's apparently very tall. Being online, I don't know he's that tall, Maybe not that kind of experience because you only meet people online, but is there any memorable experience you can share for everyone here so they'll be interested to join with the youth program that you attended?
Yeah, of course. To tell you a short anecdote on that with the tall thing as well, when I was studying in Vienna and we had online courses, I had like a table who was relatively high, so you just could see my head in the online meetings. And then when my professor met me in real life, he was shocked how tall I was. So I can definitely sign that off what you just said. Yeah, basically the experience I think is like the chance also to chat with leaders. So we had the first webinar with Federica Mogherini, the former high representative, and to ask her personal questions also, like, for example, how you as a leader, how do you act when, for example, there is a really difficult decision to make as a political leader? I think that's like something that needs to like happen more, and that these forums are like actually a good starting point for exchanges between young people and leaders, because I think what we are like experiencing at the moment is also we see the European Year of Youth and we want more and more young people obviously in the driver's seat, but then there are not the right preparations for it like in the past, and then people like coming in the driver's seat and they are not prepared for basically what's coming up for them, and I think where we need to all get better, not by criticizing it, but by actually doing like working together and having these forums, these exchanges, is to actually bring them in formats where people can learn from each other, and when they come actually to the decision-making position, they are prepared. And I think there are like so many big challenges coming to us that we cannot afford it to actually leave young people behind and not giving them the seat that they should have at the driver's seat. And I think forums like the Young Leaders Forum are a good starting point to actually bring young people together to develop future ideas, to use all their creativity and their dynamic and their energy that they're having, and that has been kind of like stored away for all people for the last 2 years, to like leave it out and basically develop a concept how we want to live together in the future. And I think then we have a good chance to actually like tackle all these challenges that are coming up.
Thanks, Jonas. That's very thorough. And I hope all of you who are listening in, if you want to join the program, that would be a fantastic way to connect with people who are in a different region with you, who actually share more in common than differences than you. Let's go back to Jezire and May, and Jonas will also answer this. As Pa Igor explained earlier, the EU-ASEAN connectivity itself is a concept of sustainable, comprehensive, and rules-based connectivity that covers 4 pillars: transport, energy, digital, and human dimension. You three are representing the human dimension of this concept. What do you think? How do you think we can boost connectivity between the two regions so it can be beneficial? Let's start with May.
From my point of view, language plays an important role in intercultural communication. First is language, and another one is if people are from the different region, I have to check the culture, intercultural, and the environmental culture. There are too many cultural things. You have to note this. So you need to negotiate. With the facts. And then another one is, and the last not but least, you need to explore the different culture, not to hold your own culture, and you have to explore the different culture, so you can see you can view the world, and you can expand your knowledge, and you can expand your creativity.
Thank you. That's very strong answer, because you know how with language you can't translate some things because language attached to culture. Seriously, I actually cannot wait to finally one day in the long future have the international translator, because I'm sure when May speaks in her own language, I'm speaking in Bahasa Indonesia and Jonas speaks in German, for example, there are things that cannot be translated into English. So it's fortunate and unfortunate that we speak English to understand each other. So hopefully that's the international universal translator one day. This is just me talking about future. Desiree, how about you? What do you think can boost our connectivity?
Hmm. I think that I would highlight on the digital aspect because I think that in today's modern age, we need to make use of social media as a great platform to reach out, connect, and also invite people and say that, hey, I know about these opportunities and why don't you try it? Because these opportunities exist, but not so much people know about this. And yeah, like highlighting on the digitalization would be a great tool to get to know and connect with these opportunities.
Thanks, Jezre. And the last 2 years, we've learned to adjust with connectivity digitally. Yeah, so this is definitely something as a hybrid. I actually believe meeting face to face cannot be replaced, but it's still happening. I think the way we talk like this will continue on even after the pandemic is over. How about you, Jonas? What would be something you think can boost the connectivity between the two regions?
Well, I would say 2 points. I would build on basically what May said regarding the language, because even, I mean, English becomes kind of like the universal language, but I think also if you try when you're in an exchange program to learn the local language, even just a little bit, I think it tells you a lot about the history of the country that you're in and about the culture. And it also actually like brings you into a position where you as a young person can try to understand better what your counterparts or what your peers who are in the same age group as you are actually thinking in terms of the topics of their daily life. And I think that also connects you with them on a different level, and you also reflect on your own positions, which I think is a interesting learning process. And I would recommend that to everybody, to like do an exchange with a country where you never been before and where you might be scared, but actually this like that you're scared could also lead to a really interesting factor that you're learning a lot about yourself and the country. And I think that's like also part of the personal growth process. And I mean, connectivity, the second pillar that I would see and that I would recommend would be like to expand also the Erasmus Plus program that we are like currently having already in Europe, that people use it also more to actually connect with ASEAN countries, because I think that's, I mean, the exchange within Europe is important, yes, but if you want to really learn something completely new and like also personally develop at a concept where you be like, hey, I want to learn something new about the world and how it's functioning, and also about the people in different parts of the world, I think going to the ASEAN region is like one of the best choices you can make, because for me personally, I learned a lot about myself, and it also helped me to find kind of like my path where I want to go in the future.
Thanks, Jonas. There's a word in Bahasa Indonesia. It's called rantau. I don't know how to translate it. It's basically you move away and live in a different part other than your hometown, whether it's within your country or overseas. And then you learn something about yourself. That I think that's a very powerful move. So hopefully everyone here in the room can one day experience their own rantau. Dian, what do you think about our discussion?
No, I think it's very interesting. Like, I agree with you and everyone. Like, language has, like, in its when you speak your native language, tells so much about the culture and has so much more different dimensions. It's so much richer. And like we have talked about Erasmus Mundus program and where the audience can also find information about it. But maybe like there's a question earlier I saw from somebody, I think it's Bea, and I think it's also representing maybe the question of a lot of the audience here today. Jonas, like how did you become the EU-ASEAN Young Leader? Where can people find more information, or how can you join the program?
Well, I think so. The application process started, I think, this year in March, I would say. And I mean, the program also, or the application period, showed that there is a need for this, because we're going to have the EU-ASEAN Summit later this year in December in Brussels. And I think also what young people want to be included in the discussions, not only like on the side event or on the side table, but actually as delegates and representatives at the summit. And I think they received over 500 applications. So basically what I think is important in this case is also to basically develop these skills. And if you apply for the program, then it takes about a month or a month and a half. Sorry for that. Basically what happens then is they are choosing different leaders from different age groups, and then they bring them together. And then they have an opening webinar where they explain how the program is going to go. So basically it's an open application period, and this is a second version. So it's going to be on the website announced by the EU and the ASEAN because it's a cooperative project. And yeah, basically that's how you get into the program itself. We kind of like started with the whole process, or I got the attention of the process as well, because we developed like our own Youth in the Pacific conference last year with different youth think tanks that was started from scratch. Basically that's how we got involved into all of that, because we connected with people from Japan, Cambodia, Australia, Vietnam, Thailand, Myanmar, and tried to actually bring them together in youth conference formats with experts from the United Nations, IMF, and so on, and to actually give them a chance to voice their needs and their policy recommendations. And that's how we kind of like got also the attention of the EU-ASEAN, I guess.
So you were saying that you find the Young Leaders Forum is like, as a good forum or a good platform to prepare youth to actually be in the driver's seat. So there's a question here from Dominador Panolin. So he was asking, but there are less fortunate young people who are gifted with the abilities, to being creative and talented, but how can we help them to develop their abilities further? When they are living in countries that perhaps cannot accommodate them, or they don't have any access, because, not everyone can be part of the Young Leaders Forum, for example, or can have the opportunity to become an Erasmus Mundus awardee. So what is your take on that? What can we do, or what can the young people themselves do to kind of prepare themselves to be in the driver's seat for the future?
Well, I would say if you go into this direction, that of course being a young leader is like a privilege, of course. But I think it's also not the most important part to be a young leader per se in this forum, but to actually profit from the young leaders in these forums, to actually see them as representatives, that the youth is heard on a general level, and that they bring the knowledge to their peers in their regions, in their countries, in their local context. Because in the end, it's not the young leaders who are going to do like the change, for example, in the Indonesian village. It's going to be the people that are locally there, that have the knowledge, that lived there forever, and that want to change. And I think when you have these connections between the representatives on a more global scale, who go then to the people and listen to them, and then voice their needs basically to the representatives at such a forum, I think that's where we're gonna make a step forward. And the second point that I would want to make is, I totally agree with Dominador on this question, because we had a recent discussion on that was going into a similar direction, where we said actually we have a problem, and I think that's also like a thing that we need to think about with the institutions in Europe and Asia. There's a gap between voicing opportunities to certain people. Some people have a laptop, they can go, for example, online and check every day with a good internet connection what's like going on and where you can apply. Others do not have these opportunities, and I think we need to bridge this gap to actually like find a solution to, if call for applications come out like this, that we give an opportunity also to people who do not have digital access, and who actually can apply for programs like this by saying, hey, I'm working in my village on this concrete project, and I could actually be an important part of the discussion, but I do not have the facilities for it. And I think that is like a really crucial part if we come into like a position where we do this. And I think that we need to think about, we've been online, as we said, 2 years. We had a lot of chances to try out different digital tools, but we also have to try out like to bridge like the gap between digital tools and people in the real world, to like reach out to as many people as we need to, because we need everyone if we want to like tackle, for example, climate change, if we want to tackle like the problems of conflicts, or like the famine that we're seeing now with regarding to the food security. So I think my take would be also for the institutions to actually like try to think about communication strategies. Can we reach young people who are less fortunate? Because I mean, we as young people can voice out to as many as we want to, even we will not reach anybody. But I think that's also like partly only our responsibility. We can do as much as we can with our counterparts, but we need to support also from the elder generation. So I think it's like a generational project that we all have to think about and come to a solution which we can make better.
That's really interesting, Jonas. Thank you. And maybe I would like to hear from the other speakers, perhaps from May. May, what do you think about this? How do you think youth, like for example, in your country, can prepare themselves, to be on the driver's seats of change? And how can you, as someone who already has the opportunity, can share what you've learned or like your experience with the youth in your country? What's your opinion on that?
Yes, I understand that kind of crisis and that kind of problem, because in my country it's also the same. Because we are from developing country, and we have even though other countries suffer the COVID, we suffer COVID plus cope. This is why I understand that problem. Our citizens also have been repeatedly denied the entry process with tens of requirements with in most of the liberal country with legal process, not illegal. And that's I think there might be a healthy and bright way, unless we give up. For me, I'm applying the DAD since I was young. I didn't get it till now, but I am trying every year. That's why if we don't, but it depends on the person. If you give up on something, that's we cannot do now with my own. If you give up easily, it can be it is it can be you cannot do anything with that kind of mindset too. You have to motivate yourself instead of motivating someone by someone instead of motivating from someone, you have to motivate yourself too.
All right. Thanks, Mai. There's Tran Hui Hun, and he's saying, shout out, thanks, Jonas, for your love for Hanoi. Tran has a question. The question is, in your opinion, what skills do young people need to learn and improve to easily integrate into the cultural environment in Europe? Let's ask Jezire first. What do you think, Jezire? What kind of skills do young people need to learn and improve to easily integrate into the culture environment in Europe? And then maybe go ahead, Jezire.
I would say that adaptability is really an important skill that one should master in terms of moving from a different culture or a different country from your own, because moving to different countries, experiencing new cultures would really test your adaptability. And in this way, once you develop your adaptability, you can widen your perspective, and and as you adapt to a different culture, you get, instead of focusing on each other's differences, you get to learn more of each other's similarities.
Thanks, Jezire. How about you, Jonas? What do you think are the skills we need to learn and improve to integrate easily? Or do we need to integrate at all, Jonas?
That's an interesting question. I mean, I would normally say as a German time management, but I'm going to leave that out. Now, I think what is an important part is to actually like bring in your culture and try to also like just let the new culture like flow into you and see like, hey, what is it doing with me? Like, not going closed-minded to a new country, but like actually going open-minded and be like, hey, these people have a total different way of lifestyle, and maybe they could teach me a lot about how I've living my life and make me a more happy person, which I think in the end is also something that you should like do as a young person to also enjoy life. Like, you should obviously also strive for what you want to achieve in the future, but you should also like use the time to like meet new people, learn new, get to know new countries, and go out and see the world. And I think that's like an important opportunity that like you have with these programs, that you actually like have the chance to like see something different than your hometown, and actually that it does something with you. And I think in terms of integration, I think it also depends on really like which people you meet. I mean, I think a lot of like young Europeans and also a lot of young Asian people, they are completely open-minded and they actually want to meet new people, because like we said earlier, they might not have the chance all the time. So if people like travel or have the chance to travel, they are also kind of ambassadors for their region. So we also want them to obviously like bring something of their country in the new country, and like that there's like kind of like a platform where people meet each other and learn new things about their generations.
So let's get ready to travel more.
As a climate pact ambassador, I would have to oppose, but or do it sustainably. But maybe we can
do it carefully,
for a
but
train connection or something.
slowly easing travel more. Not immediately, maybe, take it one step at a time. Here's from Actus. Dian, do you want to read this? I think it's a very interesting question.
Yes, so this is from Actus from Indonesia. And his question is directed to all the speakers. He would like to know, in your opinion, like what has been influenced by young people? So perhaps like, perhaps if you guys can give like an example of youth-led changes that has happened. Maybe Jezri, you want to start?
Yes. For the young people, I think I see a bright future because in this we develop a kind of mindset that sees situations that can really help our communities or we are experiencing at first hand. Yeah, so I think that the youth really has uh, a, serves as a great tool to ripple changes in our communities. For example, like in the Philippines, there is different youth initiatives, youth-led initiatives in different communities and different universities, and I think we should make use of it and also to make use of different avenues where we can be of help or we can be of change and uh, find certain advocacies that we know that we can be of help.
Mhm. Thank you. What about you, May? Do you like, is there any, can you share like an example of a youth-led initiative that you know about or that you think is, that has inspired you perhaps?
Yeah. For me, I have the inspiration part. That's why I became motivated to do for the other young generation. I would like to say is study in other country, especially Europe. Uh, uh, Europe make uh, Europe make you to improve the intercultural communication skills, because if you study or explore in the Asian or are not too different. So compared to Asian or ASEAN country, studying in other country like European country make you to improve the intercultural communication skills.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Thank you,
very
May.
different flavor, yeah. International culture.
Yeah. There's I might just like ask this question because So, Jonas, you are the Climate Pact ambassador, and you work with other, young leaders in ASEAN and EU. And there's a question here I think is interesting, from Sawa Pirsith. I'm sorry if I pronounce your name wrong. But she was asking, what do you think are the challenges for ASEAN countries to change their natural source usage? What do you think? I think because environment is a big hot issue right now. So what do you think?
Well, I mean, it's quite an interesting issue, and it's going to be probably like the question that is going to like target us in Europe as well as in ASEAN in the next years. Because, I mean, you see that at the moment that we are like, especially in Germany, we're having a huge debate about the gas usage and the energy sources that we're using at the moment, and how to come to more sustainable sources. And I think it's never easy, because it's like always with politics. It's like you have to be persistent, and you have to voice yourself out over and over again until you really see change, because that's kind of like how it's dealt with young people. At the first time they might not take you seriously, the second time they see, oh, this person is like persistent and has a good idea, and this is like how we're going. So I think also if we're going, for example, to European and ASEAN countries and looking at their usage of fossil fuels, it's also on us as young people to kind of like to offer solutions, like to kind of like say, hey, we have this really cool project at a university who's like, for example, powering their university by sustainable sources, and they have 3 brilliant young minds who like working on that. Can we maybe extend that to like the Ministry of Environment and talk with them about it, how we can actually extend it? So I think it's also like we need kind of like young people as I would call it bridge takers, who like literally take the ideas from the ground to the political sphere, because people like in the politics get over and over like massive ideas, and their tables are like full completely. So they might have like only 10-15 minutes, but if you have a great and brilliant idea, why shouldn't they support it? I would always see it from this aspect. So I think if you look at the countries and you want to actually like target the climate crisis, you will need also like new creative ways of thinking, because the climate crisis is, as the pandemic, something that is like there for like a specific time, and we haven't found a solution. So if our solutions that we had so far haven't worked, they will not work in the future. So we have to think also in new creative ways, and I think for that we will need each and everybody, but especially like the young and bright minds from Europe and Asia to actually target that.
Okay, so I would like to shout out to, bear with me, Koan Huen Sem Kam Yong. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Hello, Ko is from Lao PBR, and they're mentioning young leaders can be the equality between women and men access to education. I think all of us would agree with that, yes? Who else is there? A lot of comments there in the comment section. Thank you so much. I think we've answered most of them. Is there anyone else you want to highlight, Dian, before we move to the next question?
I think we can continue with our discussion first, and then we'll go back to the questions as we go along.
Yeah. This next question is from me about how COVID-19 has affected everybody throughout the regions and, of course, in the entire world. Arguably, it disrupted the whole global connectivity concept, including for EU and ASEAN. How did it change the way you're connecting with your colleagues on the programs that you're attending? And has the dynamic changed now? Because now it's like more people are traveling, but then there's more cases happening again, and then traveling is being halted again. How has it changed in the last 2 years? Let me know your thoughts. Jonas, you can go first.
Well, I think like for us, it was basically that we switched completely online. So like for all of our activism projects as everybody else. So it was at the beginning quite challenging, but I think the creativity that I spoke about earlier was also used there in a really good way, like more and more online platforms that kind of like were virtual cafes or like game shows or something like that. you try them out, and like at some point they connect you in a certain way on a social level, because it's way more exhausting, obviously, to sit in front of a laptop than to have a coffee with somebody at a beach cafe in, as you said in the beginning, in Bali, for example. I think like slowly getting back, we also seeing like what has been missing over the last 2 years, like really getting into like these non-professional discussions, like meeting people, like talking with them about whatever, new clothes, new music, what's the new style, what's the best TikTok video, what's the best YouTube video, whatever. I think that like connects young people, and this is also something that like led to like a massive like mental health problem in the young generation, that like also here in Europe, or at some point, is still not as much acknowledged as it should be. And I think if we go like, or we're talking about connectivity, I can just like start with another little connection note from the beginning. I saw that somebody messaged that they like are like a college student of Noel Savignon, and I met him actually during my exchange at an ocean conference in Hanoi. And this is like, now you come back to this platform and you meet somebody who also knows him, and I think this is all what we're talking about, like bringing people together, exchanging ideas, and finding new friends, especially in Erasmus and these young leader programs, which is also a huge and important part of these exchanges.
Desiree, your thoughts, please.
Because of the pandemic, when I was processing for my visa applications and all things needed to go to Europe, it was quite of a challenge, mainly because of the COVID vaccination, the restrictions of the country. There's so much things to consider, and I was afraid that you won't be able to have physical classes or like during my first semester. But thankfully, I'm glad that everything worked out pretty well. Like during the start of my academic year, in Spain, we were able to have classes physically. Some were online, but only a few. But now here in Portugal, it feels like things are getting back to normal again, and the world is opening up. And whenever I travel, I can see that the borders or like different people are starting to also um like people are also trying to travel as much as they can after the world was put on like on hold for too long.
Yes, I feel like I want to travel again. Where do I go next? No, no. Let's focus on this first. I keep saying I want to travel. May, what do you think? What kind of dynamics is changing the way people are connecting in your part?
In my part, the usage of the digital platforms are improving. We have, for me, I have still connection with the Erasmus from 2019. So the main point from the Western and Asian is Asian didn't recognize the Western face, and Western recognized the Asian face. They think Asians are similar. We think Western face are similar. That's why we do Zoom meeting, maybe one meeting per 6 months or around. We do everything. We do that kinds of Zoom meeting, not to forget our face, because we cannot meet easily, because we are not from Myanmar, Thailand. We are a neighboring country, so we cannot meet. We cannot meet, and because of the
That's
COVID, so
true.
we cannot meet for sure. And that is for the Erasmus communication, and for our society, and for the workplace, we have to use the social media platform more than normal time.
I was told that I'm a lot warmer in person. Like online, I'm like shooting people with questions. There's no, gesture of, being connecting with people in person. It's just different. But yeah, like Jessira was saying, the one skill that will keep us going is adaptability, and I agree with you. Last question from Salpisit Sitishak. They're mentioning, do you think COVID-19 helped improving education, or how whether this is worsening education. What's your experience in EU for Jonas and Jezire? And if you two have any ideas what's happening in the ASEAN countries for the context of education. I have three children, and they all have to go through online schools. The youngest one is in elementary school, and she's struggling because she doesn't get to meet friends in person. What do you think, Jonas? Is your mom complaining you're always on the screen talking online?
She would wish so. I'm probably like calling her more on the phone than she actually sees my real face. So like whenever I send her like these things when I'm like in online events, she's gonna be like, "Oh, it's nice to actually see your face. This is how you look like now." But now I think actually like for me, I think you need to differentiate on that. I think for like higher education, online learning is really good because you're like having like a lot of conferences. You're gonna have maybe the chance to participate in like an exchange in Europe. And when you have this mandatory classes at university, that might lead to like maybe a higher attention rate. But like for me personally, and I think they also had a study from the University of Vienna for that, for at least the master courses, is that people like performed better in their
Online courses,
exams, and they also like actually attended these exams way more often than actually in person, which makes also like the work better. And I think that would be an important part that you differentiate between that, because I would definitely sign off what you just said, that especially for younger kids, it's important to meet other people, like to meet their friends, to meet their teachers, to learn together. Because I mean, expecting from a young child to sit at home and listening to a 3-hour Zoom conference is not going to work. You need creative ways to teach. And I think you also need that in university. It's not going to work if you say, hey, do that until next week, and then we're going to meet again, and then I'm going to grade it. This is not how like learning works, because in the end, people should learn for life. They should not learn it to pass the exam, but they should learn something that they can use later in their life. And I think if you go from that perspective, I would say that it has advantages and disadvantages to teach from home. And it really, there we're coming back to the connectivity trap with like digital access to Zoom. Do I have 2 laptops for 4 kids in school, or do I have 4 laptops for 4 people with like a good Wi-Fi connection? Then online learning is easy, you know. But I mean, that's where we come back to this topic, and I think that's why we also need to, in a certain way, come back to like a better concept, because we're not going to lose COVID in the next weeks. It's gonna stay with us, and I think we need to adapt to these learning schedules with way better concept. That because we got kind of like a second chance to like improve our sustainability and our resilience, and to actually make our systems future-proof. And I think that's a big challenge.
Thank you, Jonas. Jezire, how about you? Is it better? How is it worse? What's your opinion?
Well, generally, COVID-19 serves as a great barrier for the improvement of education, but on one side of the coin, people see it as something that enhances their work-life balance, where they can manage well their time in working online. But on the other side, people are still struggling that not everyone has this access to even just getting laptops or having a good stable internet connection. So in this way, I would like to point out on what Jonas mentioned, that we need to bridge this gap between the access to opportunities as well as for people to access these tools, because it's still an ongoing problem that needs to be solved.
Thanks, Jezreel. May, your notes on this one. Is it better? I mean, you experienced your Erasmus Mundus awardees traveling to Germany before the pandemic. How is it going to be different now?
Yes, I would say they are. It's both pros and cons. For the because of COVID-19, we use the digital platform, so we can manage our time. Beneficially. We can do. We don't need to waste too many time in transportation like that, so we can save our time. But the cons is the to understand and experience between the for the Erasmus experience between the Western study culture and the Eastern study culture. We cannot explore that via platforms. And for the intercultural communication, in the Zoom or in the Google, in the digital platform, we cannot know exactly. Because in the Zoom we are just talking the topic. That's all. We cannot know exactly how the intercultural communication. That they are, I would say pros and cons. Another one is you cannot travel around the Europe as much as you can. In my time, I travel over 5 or over 7 or 8 countries. But now, maybe now there are new normal are happening, but within the COVID, cannot travel to other countries.
There's limitation to it. True. Well, Europe and Asia make up about 60% of the world's GDP, and from 2014 to 2019, over 32,000 students and academic staff traveled between the two regions. On the transport pillar, the EU and ASEAN has the world's first ever block-to-block aviation agreement. This was the topic last talk show, wasn't it, Dian? And which will boost the economic benefits for both regions. On the digital side, it's all about increasing access to digital services and at the same time maintaining consumer and personal data. And I think our 3 guests today are just the living example of how human dimension benefit of the region's connectivity. Don't go anywhere yet because, like Jana was mentioning, we need to find more creative way to interact. And of course, it's now time for that creativity. We go into Kahoot Quizzes. Get your thumbs ready, people. All right.
You can access the quiz on the right hand side. I think there's a tab called Kahoot. So please just click on that and then enter the PIN. Get the PIN number. This is it. The 276 70 and 35. 276 7035. Click Kahoot on the top menu and you can join the quiz. Enter your game PIN. Don't go into other people's game. Go into this one. Let's see. We're waiting for players. The diligent Oryx is here. Anyone else joining? Come on, people. We're waiting for you. Don't make me come in there and win the game. We're still waiting for players to join. The helpful owl has joined our Kahoot game. How many winners are we gonna pick, Dian? We're gonna have 5 winners, and the 5 winners will receive these special EU hampers.
I have those EU hampers at home. They're really pretty. So let's come and join the game, and you may win the chance to win the EU hampers. There's a teddy bear in there. There's an awesome lanyard, book, and I think the last one also had a tumbler in it. Witty echidna, smooth bat, elated tiger, majestic goat, dynamic finch, gentle gecko, royal mouse, shining glider, kind penguin, awesome ibex, green falcon, helpful owl, and diligent oryx. Anyone else joining us? We're still waiting.
Yes. Keep them coming because I was just told actually for this time we're gonna have 10 winners.
Oh, that's a lot.
Yes.
Do the panelists enter the game or not? No, they will get their EU hampers, right? Without joining the game.
Everyone can join for fun.
Yes, you can, Jonas. Jonas, you can join. Jezre, you can also join. May, feel free to join in.
I can then later decide if I want to name myself or not, depending on my performance.
It's the cheerful yak. Is that you? Oh, Dian, tell us how people, the committee can identify who you are after you win.
We'll know the email address. But you guys can also if you win, you can identify yourself in the chat section as well to give us your real name. So we will know who Great Rooster is.
If you win, your email will be notified to the committee. They will know and fine you. Is that what we're saying?
Yes, exactly. We know and we'll find you. Okay, should we start now?
Oh, Space Condor has joined in. Be careful, people. There's a Space Condor. All right, let's go. Shall we start?
Yes. Jolly Possum, Fussy Owl. Okay, we can start and everyone can still jump in or shoot.
Let's go.
Yeah? Okay, let's go.
3, 2, 1, let's go.
Dum, dum.
There is the question. Okay, get ready, people. Here's the quiz. Jazira is currently studying in which country is it?
Is it in Spain, Poland, Sweden, or Portugal?
Currently.
Answered.
Just a few more seconds.
4,
4,
3.
2, 1.
Yay!
Yay, she's now in Portugal. Top of the leader right now is the Royal Mouse. Come on, your next question. May is Erasmus alumni from Myanmar who studied in Germany in 2019. True or false? We made a joke about this, so you need to remember. Yes! To the person who answered false, you are now going to be called to the principal office. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Thank you for joining. Royal Mouse is still leading. Come on. Jonas is the something ambassador for European Commission. Which one is it? Climate change, climate diplomacy, climate pact, or climate deal? Oh, this is confusing. Which one would it be? I should have that in my note. Let me see.
Cheater friends.
All right. It's actually climate pact.
Space Octopus is taking over Royal Mouse's position.
How many EU member states are there? Oh, this one is easy. Let's find out if you still remember how many EU member states are there. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's see. 27. That's the answer.
Space Octopus.
Young people represent more than 30% of the European population and 34% of the ASEAN population. What's going to be your answer? Is this a true or false statement? Just a few more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And the answer is, it's true. Kind Penguin is now taking over. Come on, get your thumbs ready. How many golden stars make up the circle in the European Union flag? Let's count together.
I was going to say the flag is right there. Go ahead. Everyone can count. Is it 9, 10, 11, or 12?
Three, 2, 1. And the answer is 12. Everybody got it right this time.
Enough time to count.
Shining Glider is now leading the pack. All right, here's an important question. The EU has designated 2022 to be the European Year of Youth. true or false? Three, two, one, and let's find out. It's true. Shining Glider is still leading. Two more questions. What is the EU's program to support education, training, youth, and sport? Is it the EU-ASEAN ASEAN, Erasmus Mundus, Horizon Europe, or EU-ASEAN Young Leaders Forum? Which one would it be? It's the Erasmus Mundus.
Erasmus Plus.
Oh, sorry, not the Erasmus Mundus. It's Erasmus Plus.
Yeah.
The Mundus is the scholarship, yeah?
Yeah.
Did I just... No, I didn't mention that one. What is an EU-funded program that links researchers in ASEAN with Europe?
But Igor mentioned this in his opening remarks earlier.
I did. If you joined the sessions early on, the ambassador for EU in ASEAN mentioned the program. Let's find out. EU-ASEAN ASEAN. Thank you for joining the quiz. And this is the scoreboard. Kind penguin, diligent ox. Hold on, there's one more time. What does the word mundus mean in Erasmus Mundus? People, society, world, or nature? Let me remind you, it's a scholarship that you can apply for your higher education in Europe. It's the world. And that's the end of our quiz. Let's see who is leading the board. The podium is Space Octopus, Space Thunder, and Penguin. Congratulations to all three of you. But there will be 10 winners, I heard.
Yeah.
So
all the 10 winners, identify yourself in the chat section if you are in the top 10.
Somebody will be contacting you because your email is in the system when you join the quiz. And thank you so much for having fun with us in the quiz. You didn't expect that kind of question, or where Jezire is studying, or what Jonah is leading. That was a funny one. All right. Now, before we end the session, I would like to invite each speaker to share your last word with the audience. The topic today is about connecting EU and ASEAN post-COVID-19. I know it's not over yet. There are now, in Indonesia, for example, rise number of cases happening again, but I think people have better immunity. So yeah, we are not going to play it down. We're still very cautious about it, but it is, a lot better than when the pandemic started in 2019. So for each of our speakers, I'd like to invite you to express your opinion on how we are connecting between the two regions at the end of this pandemic, which is happening not now, but coming soon. Not in 2 weeks, happening soon. I'm being optimistic here. Jonas, go ahead.
No, I would support your optimism with my closing statements. I think what we have to also encourage young people to actually develop new ideas and bring people together from both regions. So also if you have an idea, that you think might work for this year, because it's the European Year of Youth. There might be also a lot of funding from both sides, and connect with your maybe also the delegations in your country, and present your ideas. Be bold, be energetic, and also like believe in your power to change the world, even as an individual, because I think that's where it starts, where you really like have the chance to like convince other young people to also step up. And if you already like convinced 2 or 3 people to work with you on a solution in your local like on your local challenge, I think that's actually something where you can really make an impact. And connecting these 2 regions after the pandemic, I think, will also be one of the key challenges for all of us. And I hope we come back to like exchange formats where we actually can meet in person, and where we can see each other, where you have the chance with Erasmus Mundus, the EU-ASEAN Young Leaders Forum. And I think also that we need to create on the ground grassroots initiatives that are working together with people in Europe and Asia, because I think only together we can like strengthen this partnership. And I think that will be also like the key for us young people in the future. So I encourage you all to like continue to be active, to like listen to formats like this, and to also exchange with young people. And I'm also happy, like if you want to connect with somebody, message the EU and ASEAN, or try to find me on LinkedIn or Facebook or anything, and I'm happy to help with project ideas that you have, and that we can make this partnership future proof. And I'm also happy to see that so many young people attended today, which shows that we're talking about topics that our generation is targeting. So I want to encourage everyone to continue with your projects, and to be bold, to ask from your leaders that they include youth, and to give perspectives to youth in your country.
Thank you, Jonas. May, would you like to give your closing statement?
Yeah, for the young people from ASEAN, we are ASEAN keep going. There will be a better way, and the bright way, and let's keep up. For the EU and ASEAN, to improve our ASEAN cooperation, and to encourage our ASEAN and to ASEAN youth. Please support the please support in the education system, and not only the education system, but also in the environmental system too. Because in the ASEAN country, from a point of view, there is not to develop in environmental safety system. Thank you.
Thank you, May. Desiree, your turn.
So for the young people, especially for the vulnerable, like the COVID-19 pandemic might pose different struggles and risks, especially in education. A lot of dreams were put on hold as like in the previous years, but I hope that as the world continues to open again, we should make use of the opportunities around us, like apply for the Erasmus Mundus scholarship, hopefully for next year. And I hope that we don't let the pandemic hinder us from reaching our dreams.
Thank you, Desiree. And I would like to invite Dian Saputra to summarize for us.
Thank you, Win, and thank you all of you for sharing those really nice comments. I think I would share your sentiment that a lot of dreams have been put on hold during the pandemic, and now it's time we should not let the pandemic to keep hindering our growth, and we need to continue to have exchanges between youth, continue to come up with ideas and support each other. And I would just like to summarize about like all the different programs, and I know it probably can be confusing for the audience as well. So I'm just going to summarize it to make it as easy as possible. So for those of you who are undergraduate students right now, you can check out the EU Share Scholarship Program for opportunities for intra-ASEAN scholarships. And if you're looking to pursue your master's degree or higher education, you can check out Erasmus Mundus, and also EU Share also has some program on that as well. Now, if you're looking to, if you're a researcher and you're looking to connect with European institutions or looking to get supported on your research, you can go to the EURAXIS program. Like all these programs I'm mentioning they all have a booth in this expo. So please do have a look around. So you can get in touch with the EURAXIS team. They can be your best partner, and they will accompany you in your research journey. You can, like last week, the EURAXIS team just held a webinar on how to write your PhD application. You can still find a recording of the event on the replay section on the left-hand side of your screen. And then if you're interested in the program that Jonas was part of, like the EU-ASEAN Young Leaders Program, you can also visit the Advancing the EU's Role in Multilateral Fora. They also have a booth here, and they also have a specific LinkedIn link, which I will share in the chat section after this. So I hope that maybe simplify things a little bit, makes it easier for you to look for information. Yeah, and thank you again. I'm really happy to be a part of this talk show, and then meeting our speakers today, and also meeting Wina again, of course. Go ahead,
Thank you so much. It's been an honor serving with the EU-ASEAN Youth Talk Show. I hope there's a 6, 7, 8, and 9, and 10th talk shows, and I'll be hosting again with Diane, and hope you all can join in as well. I hope everyone is taking notes. There's so much we can learn from today's talk, and make sure to follow at EU in ASEAN social media channels. So the social media is at EU in ASEAN social media channels. And so if you follow it, you won't miss a thing, because there are so many interesting events, especially for the youth. Thank you so much, everybody, and have a great day.
Have a great day. Thank you.
Thanks, Jonas. Thank you, Zirain. Thank you, Mike. And thank you, Dion. Bye-bye.
Thank you.